We are broadcasting here live in Qatar in the Persian Gulf, 3 days after the United Nations Climate Change Conference began here in Doha. A Qatari court sentenced a local poet to life in prison, a move that shocked many activists in the Gulf region and human rights observers. The sentencing of Mohammed ibn al-Dheeb al-Ajami came nearly 2 years after he wrote a poem called Tunisian Jasmine, supporting the uprisings in the Arab world. In the poem, he called on Arabs to get rid of what he described as imposed regimes.
Knowing that those that satisfy themselves and upset their people, tomorrow will have someone else sitting in their seat. Knowing that those that satisfy themselves and upset their people, tomorrow will have someone else sitting in their seat. For those that think the country is in your and your kids' names, the country is for the people, and its glories are theirs. Repeat with one voice, for one faith. We are all Tunisia, in the face of repressive elites. We are all Tunisia, in the face of repressive elites. The Arab governments and who rules them are without exception thieves, thieves. The question that frames the thoughts of those who wonder will not find an answer in any official channels. As long as it imports everything it has from the West, why can't it import laws and freedoms? Why can't it import laws and freedoms?
Special thanks to Ali Issa for help with the translation. Mohammed al-Ajami was first arrested for allegedly disparaging members of Qatar's ruling family, including the emir, in another poem. Earlier this week, I spoke with Mohammed al-Ajami's lawyer, Najib al-Nuaimi. Al-Nuaimi is former justice minister here in Qatar. His past clients include, well, the former Iraqi president Saddam Hussein and scores of prisoners held at Guantanamo. I interviewed Najib al-Nuaimi this week and began by talking about Mohammed al-Ajami's arrest a year ago.
So in November, they put a call for him. Mohammed, you have to come to the police to report to the police. You have Mohammed to come to the police and report. And he kept saying, why should I report for what? Then he called the son of the emir. He's a friend of his sons, by the way, and told him why they are calling me in the police. He said, no, just go there and don't worry, it's just a routine register, something against you. He went there, but he felt there is something, planned for him. And he was questioned by the police. You said that poem? He said, yeah, I said that poem. Where? I said it's in my... And I'm replying to the other poem. So what is wrong with it? He said, you meant to say that? To encourage the attempting of the coup? He said, no, I didn't. He denied it. And he said, but you spoke a little bit that you were saying that the emir is not doing his job properly according to the constitution. He said, no. Who made this interpretation? They said, well, we think it's been interpreted that way. So he said, no. If I have insulted the emir on this, just continue, please, reading the poem. You'll see in the end of it. I was really, thanking the emir, not really disappointing him. Then they said, okay, unfortunately, we have to arrest you. That moment, with his cousins and friends, and he said, I need, please call Dr. Najib Naimi. I need him to be my lawyer. Then I have received a phone in the evening, same night, telling me that there is somebody, Muhammad, you know Muhammad? I said, no. Here's his poem? I said, never. I don't hear this kind, I don't have time, in fact, and it's not my hobby much. And I said, no, what is wrong with him? He said, he been arrested because he said a poem. I thought, how come? We never had in the history of our judicial system, or even the Arab system, somebody would be arrested because he said a poem. How many poets in our Arab history attacked the ruler, attacked everybody? Even in ancient Islamic time, they wrote, everything about the kings, about the prince. Nobody hanged them. They gave them money to shut their mouth. That's the way. They gave him money and he shut his mouth. But why him? They said, I don't know. So I felt something unique in this case, something unbelievable to have somebody to be arrested for a poem.
And so tell us about this decision this past week in court after Mohammed al-Ajami was in jail in solitary confinement for 11 months.
29th of November, I attended. One word, Mohammed bin al-Dheeb, sentenced for life. I was shocked. What? On what basis? He had no time to defend himself. He had no time for me to defend him. He didn't accept my written memorandum, so he just made it for himself. So it's a kind of revenge. It became personal and a revenge against Muhammad. And anyhow, we appealed today before the court, and the court says the first session we will have an appeal on 30th of December.
Does the emir have the power to pardon Mohammed al-Ajami?
He has.
Have you appealed to the emir?
I don't appeal. I'm a lawyer. His family can appeal, but not me. He can appeal, but not me. I don't appeal.
What message does this send to activists in the Gulf? I mean, that is what Mohammed has written about the Arab Spring.
Really, it puts Mohammed really as a leader of the poets or the whole Arabs, and really supporting the revolution around the Arab world, starting with Tunisia. And his poem was repeated in Egypt, repeated in Libya, repeated in others. He puts in the lead.
The decision came down in the middle of a global conference here in Qatar, the UN Climate Change Summit, where 10,000 people
it's a shame.
came.
A shame. It's a shame. It's a shame. It downgraded really the state. It downgraded the state on the eyes of the world, where we speak, where our Emir spoke a lot about the freedom of speech, the freedom that we have to take the freedom, but even by fight, and we are sentencing somebody in our home for a life. It's contradictory.
Human Rights Watch wrote, a draft media law approved by the state cabinet in 2012, June, would prohibit publishing or broadcasting information that would, quote, throw relations between the state and the Arab and friendly states into confusion, or abuse the regime, or offend the ruling family, or cause serious harm to the national or higher interests of the state. The emir has not yet ratified this draft.
Article 53, the bad Article 53. I have really attacked it. I think it's a shame to have an article like that while we really speak loud for the freedom of the other people. This sentence can put anyone on the prison, and he has to pay 1 million riyal penalty for any reason. It's very fake. If I have said in my Twitter, I said, the first man who will be arrested is Faisal al-Qasimi, who make, we call it crossfire, something like crossfire on Al Jazeera, where he have two guys and he start telling him, your government is saying this and saying that, and your government saying that. So if these governments are friends of Qatar, then he will be in prison. If they will apply it, the first people will go to prison are Al Jazeera team, Al Jazeera editors.
That was Najib al-Nuaimi, attorney for Mohammed al-Ajami, the Qatari poet sentenced last week to life in prison. On Thursday, we traveled to Qatar's National Human Rights Committee, and I met with a committee member who was, well, chosen by the emir, Mohammed bin Saif al-Kuwari, to talk about the sentencing of Mohammed al-Ajami. Do you think that he should be in prison for the rest of his life?
I mean, in human rights, I cannot see it should or not, because this is in the court. I mean, this is his case in the court, his case in the judge. I cannot answer this in quickly without to see the file, without to see the cases in details. I mean, in deep details. I cannot answer this is okay, this is in prison or not. But for human rights in Qatar, always to see this is this people or this persons will get his rights, fully, total rights for him, even in the prisons or in the courts. about the procedure. This is very important with us. Is the procedure is according to the international conventions, international laws, also something in human rights.
What specifically was in the poem that violated the law here in Qatar?
About the human rights, just will talk the people. You can't do it everything. You can't talk everything. But according to the law, you cannot attack the symbols or in the states without anything. You have to write about some things for you to talk about anything, but with some studying or report with you.
So if someone read Muhammad's poem today in Qatar out loud, they too would be sentenced to life in prison?
Yes. Now this is according to the judgments last month.
Has the media covered the case of the poet? Has Al Jazeera broadcast about the story of the poet being imprisoned for life here in Qatar?
I didn't see in the Al Jazeera, but I saw in the BBC only. But Al Jazeera and the newspaper in Qatar, I didn't see any articles to talk about the Muhammad ibn al-Dheeb or the judgments about that here. I don't know why, but maybe for next times, maybe we'll do it. But I don't know. I haven't any explanation for that here.
What does that say about freedom of the press here?
Yeah, it is a freedom. Yes, it is for media. They are talking about the media. Yes, the media. This is a freedom of opinion expressions.
But it's interesting that you say BBC covered it, but Al Jazeera did not cover it.
At yet, maybe future, maybe, because they ask Dr. Ali, we are preparing now.
Yes, that is Qatar's National Human Rights Committee member Mohammed bin Saif al-Qawari talking about the sentencing of the poet Muhammad al-Ajami here in Qatar to life in prison for his poem. Thanks so much for watching this report from Democracy Now!, your daily independent global news hour. We don't accept advertising or corporate funding, but rather rely on donations from viewers like you. Please make your contribution by visiting democracynow.org. We need your support today to keep bringing you this hard-hitting, in-depth reporting.